Hi, this is Gary with Aldan American. Today we're going to do an installation on this 65 Mustang. My friend Robert and his daughter Kate built this car about 15 years ago. It was a pretty decent old car when they started, but they did the body, the paint, the interior, engine work, and suspension when they restored it. It was a true father-daughter project. They both were working on it. She got her hands greasy putting the car together, but now she's been driving the car for about 15 years. We were talking the other week and she said, the car just doesn't quite feel as good as it used to. And when they did the car, it's just got a set of replacement style shocks and coil springs on the car. So what we were going to do is we're going to bring it in, we're going to put the Aldan American double adjustable coilover kit, front and rear. It's our new rear shock. We'll show you how that all works. Follow along and see how we do it. So in a project like this, when we're working with suspension, ride heights, coil springs, the first thing we want to do is we want to measure the car. So what I do is I take my tape measure, I go from the fender lip through the center line of the wheel and take that measurement and I record that on all four corners, and that will let me know how the car sat when it came in. Because once we have the car all back together, we don't know if the car was crooked and we're chasing our tail, or if the car was fairly straight and it's just a little bit of adjustment to get the car straight and square. I've now removed the coil spring from the car. I use an internal coil spring compressor so that I can compress the spring enough to get it off of the lower spring seat. Now we've also removed the lower spring seat, and what we want to do is we want to check around that spring seat area where the bolt holes are. We want to make sure there's no cracks there. On a car that's got a lot of miles on it, I've seen the arms that have got cracks coming out of where the bolt holes are, and if that's the case, you'll have to replace the control arm. This particular car had all new control arms and all new suspension done to it when it was originally restored. So now I'm going to drill my upper holes for my bracket. The original T-slot bolts are 5/16, so we're going to drill it out to 3/8 of an inch. What I do is I use my original T-slot bolts on two places, bolt the bracket in place, and then I use the third hole as my drill guide. So when I go to put the ring on from the bottom side in the spring pocket, I want to put the bolt heads on the bottom side and the nuts on the top, and that way there's more clearance for the shock. And so I use a little bit of tape to hold the bolt in place so it doesn't fall out, so I can put it up, hold it, put my nuts on the top. When we install the reinforcing rings from the bottom side, what we're going to do is take that ring, set it up against the body of the car, and there's a gap where the T-slot bolt head went. And so in this particular car, it took 3 washers to fill that gap up. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3. So what we want is that ring to sit flush against the body of the car where the original spring seat is, and then we want so that there's no gap between the washers so that they're in there nice and tight. So we're now going to install our double adjustable shock. On the top is our rebound adjustment. There's 11 points of rebound adjustment. So when you go full counterclockwise, that is the softest position. As you rotate the knob clockwise, that will increase the dampening or make the shock more firm. On the bottom of the shock is our compression adjustment knob. This particular knob has 6 points of adjustment. So it'll turn 360 degrees, there is no stop. So whatever the number is at the 12 o'clock position is the setting for the compression knob. The upper brackets are 1.5 inches wide, so we use a misalignment bearing with these misalignment spacers. And so what we'll have to do is we're going to have to cut the zip tie that we installed to keep everything together during shipping. And as you can see, these will come apart, so you got to make sure that you don't lose them. And that makes it 1.5 inches wide for the upper bracket. All of our 3/8 hardware is going to get torqued to 35 foot-pounds, and our upper shock bolt, which is a 1/2 inch bolt, will be torqued to 75 foot-pounds. We're now going to set our preliminary ride height. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put about 3/4 of an inch of preload on our spring, and to do that I'm going to take our Allen wrench and I'm going to loosen the set screw so that we can make our adjustment. Then I'm going to take my spanner wrench and I'm going to use it to adjust the spring seat. Before I start making any adjustments, I'm going to put a little additional anti-seize on my threads above the spring seat. When we assemble the shock here at Aldan, we do put anti-seize on the spring seat when it goes on, but I like to put a little additional above the spring seat so that as I rotate my spring seat, I'm going to draw the anti-seize in, and that way we don't have any problems with galling the aluminum. I've done my preliminary adjustment. So what I did is I put 3/4 of an inch of preload on the spring. And what preload is, it's the length of the spring. It has nothing to do with how many threads are below the spring seat. It has to do with what the exact measurement is from top of spring to bottom of spring. So this one started out as a 9-inch spring. So it's got a measurement of 8¼ inches now. So now that we've got our preliminary ride height set, what we need to do is put the wheel back on the ground. I'm not going to put the inner shield and finish everything up. What I'm going to do is put my wheels back on the car, put it on the ground, take a measurement, decide what I want to do on my ride height, and this car we're setting up about an inch drop from where it came in the door. I'm now going to put our double adjustable rear shocks on this 65 Mustang. Really easy to do, makes a huge improvement in how the car works, and the benefit of being double adjustable is that it has a compression adjustment and a rebound adjustment, so you can adjust them separately of one another. So the first thing I'm going to do is take our nuts off the bottom. So that this bushing doesn't fall off, I'm going to take some painter's tape and I'm going to wrap it around the stem a couple of times. And that's going to keep my bushing from falling off while I'm working with it. On the top side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rebound knob out. So there's a couple of Allen screws on there. We're not going to remove those because those are what holds the clicker in place. Remove the knob, remove our nuts, and we're ready to assemble it. Our upper bushing is difficult to see inside the car. So what I'm going to do is show you here. We're going to tighten the nut down till the bushing just starts to bulge. And at that point, we're going to take our jam nut and tighten our jam nut against the full nut. Then we're going to put our rebound knob on and go full clockwise, which is the stiffest position. And then we're going to back it off 10 clicks. And that's going to put us in the middle of our adjustment range. It gives us a good place to start, go out, drive the car, feel what it needs. If it needs additional rebound or less rebound, we can adjust it from there. Now I'm going to tighten our lower bushing and it just starts to bulge. And then after that point, we're going to put our jam nut on it. I always want to start with the compression on the soft side. I want to go out and drive the car, adjust my rebound, get the rebound feeling good, then adjust the compression. What you don't want to do is start twisting both knobs and making adjustments. You only want to do one adjustment at a time until you feel right. Do the other adjustment until it feels right. And if you have too much one way or another, you can make little slight adjustments from there. As I said in the beginning, installing the shocks on the rear of a Mustang are pretty simple. For more information about Aldan American products, check us out at aldanamerican.com.